You don't want to move very fast. You want to try to keep something between you and your target. My kind of role in nature, I'm a hunter and a trapper.
In the deep woods of Montana, the silence always means something. It's an old saying, but for Tom Oar, it became a terrifying reality. He was a man who could read the wilderness like a book.
There's the lodge, that hump on the bank over across the pond there. That's where the beavers actually live.
But the mystery he uncovered is one that no one was prepared for. New reports are finally surfacing about the truly shocking items discovered in his cabin. This goes way beyond a simple missing person case. This involves cryptic journals, strange artifacts, and a federal blockade of his property. The silence in the Yak Valley has been broken, and what's screaming out is horrifying. The vanishing. Tom Oar wasn't just a reality TV star. For millions of people, he was the real deal. The last of a dying breed, a man who turned his back on the modern world to live a life of pure self-reliance in the brutal, beautiful Yak Valley of Montana. This is a place that doesn't forgive mistakes. We're talking winters that drop to 40 below zero with snowdrifts that can bury a house. And get this, the Yak Valley is home to one of the densest grizzly bear populations in the lower 48 states. Survival there isn't a hobby, it's a full-time war against nature, and Tom Oar was its undisputed king.
It's been a long time since I've run this line. And it's really hard on me because I'm so damn old, but I've got the desire to still do it,
So, here's the deal. When the smoke from Tom's chimney stopped rising for 3 days, then 5, then a whole week, the locals got more than just worried. They got scared. This wasn't like Tom. This was a man who lived by the rhythm of the sun, and his rhythm had suddenly stopped. In late October, with the snow already piling up, a pair of park rangers finally made the trek out to his property. Their snowmobiles whined through the dense pines, the air so cold it felt like glass. When they pulled up, the scene was immediately, terrifyingly wrong. Tom's truck was there, a mound of white with just a hint of blue paint showing. But his dogs, his constant, loyal companions, they were gone. Not a single bark, not a track. The cabin itself was a tomb. The front door, which Tom always secured with a heavy, hand-carved wooden bar, was just slightly open. It was hanging ajar, bumping gently in the wind. No mountain man, especially not Tom Oar, would ever leave his door unsecured. Not with grizzlies and mountain lions as his closest neighbors. The first ranger pushed the door open, his hand on his sidearm. "Tom," he called out. The only answer was the whistle of the wind through the log chinking. The inside was even worse. It was dark, silent, and absolutely freezing. The hearth, the beating heart of any cabin, was stone cold. Ash and half-burnt logs sat in the fireplace, covered in a light dusting of frost that had blown in through the open door.
We're gonna need a ton more wood, obviously, and this is just a little wood-burning stove, but it's a good one. Let's see how this goes. Look at this. There you go.
What most people don't realize is that a cold hearth in winter isn't just an inconvenience. It's a death sentence. It means the cold has won on the table. A deer hide was still stretched on its frame halfway through the tanning process. Tom's handmade knife, the one he was famous for, was lying next to it, its edge gleaming. Beside that, an old mug with a film of frozen black coffee. It was like a photograph. It looked exactly as if Tom Oar had just stood up intending to step outside for a minute and never came back. But the crazy part? On the far wall, a calendar was frozen in time. The last date circled in red, October 3rd. 2 full weeks before the Rangers arrived, and pinned to the wall right next to it, held up by a small skinning knife, was a scrap of cured leather. Scratched into it were 4 words that made the Rangers' blood run cold. "Keep the fire alive." It wasn't a reminder. It felt like a warning. They searched every corner, the trapping gear, the attic crawl space, the supply shed, nothing. No sign of a struggle, no blood, and no footprints leading away from the cabin other than their own. It was, as one ranger put it, like he just vanished into thin air. But something about the air felt wrong. Heavy, charged. Then one of them, while checking the floorboards near the wood stove, noticed it, a faint humming. You could feel it more than hear it, buzzing up through the soles of their boots. And under the big bearskin rug, they found the faint square outline of a wooden hatch. A hatch that wasn't on any of Tom's known designs. A hatch no one knew existed, but what they found beneath that hatch was never meant to be seen. A library of fear. The Rangers looked at each other. That humming sound was coming from below the floor. It was a low, rhythmic pulse like a massive engine idling deep in the earth. One of them knelt down and placed a gloved hand on the wood. It was warm. In a cabin that was 17 degrees, this one spot was noticeably, impossibly warm. With a grunt, they heaved the heavy rug aside, revealing an iron ring set into the planks. It took both of them to pull it open. The hatch screeched on old hinges, and a rush of stale, cold air blasted them in the face. But this air was different. It smelled of damp earth, pine resin, and something else. That same sharp metallic scent from the cabin, only 100 times stronger. Their flashlights cut through the darkness, revealing a narrow, steep staircase carved right out of the dirt. This wasn't a root cellar, this was a bunker. They descended, their boots kicking up dust that hadn't been disturbed in ages. The humming was louder down here, vibrating in their chests, and what they found made every hair on their necks stand up. Dozens and dozens of leather-bound journals. They were stacked in old wooden crates, each one sealed shut with rope and wax. The earliest one they found dated back to 1972, years before Tom ever became a public figure. And each journal was marked with a strange, hand-carved symbol, a perfect circle split by a single jagged line right down the middle. They radioed their superiors and were told to document but not disturb anything. But one of the Rangers, he couldn't help himself. He broke the wax seal on the most recent journal. The pages were covered in Tom's tiny, meticulous handwriting. At first, it was exactly what you'd expect notes on trapping seasons. Hand-drawn maps of hunting trails, weather patterns. But then, about halfway through, the writing started to change. The tone shifted from survival to fear. One entry read, "The light came again last night. The dogs hid under the bed. I heard it humming through the trees. Not a helicopter." Another from just a few months ago was even more chilling. "The voices are back, carried by the wind. They don't use words, but I understand them. They are promising, they are hungry." Some entries were smudged, the ink blurred by what looked like water, or maybe tears. Several pages were torn out completely. And get this, one of the journals had a clean hole through its center. The Rangers recognized it immediately. It was a bullet hole. But the sketches, that's what broke them. As they flipped the pages, the maps and animal drawings were replaced by something else. Sketches of tall, shadowy figures standing among the pines. Figures with impossibly long limbs and what looked like reflective eyes. In one drawing, 3 of the figures were standing right behind Tom's cabin, looking in the window. And in the corner of that page, a date. The Rangers checked their records. The date matched the exact day the local forestry department had logged a series of frantic calls about unknown aerial sounds echoing across the valley. The deeper they read, the more it became clear. Tom Oar wasn't just documenting his life in the wild, he was documenting a war. A secret war against something that lived in those woods with him. Something he had been fighting alone for decades. Tucked inside the back cover of the very last journal was a folded piece of old parchment sealed with red wax. After carefully prying it open, they read the shaky letters. "If you're reading this, it's already too late. It's awake." At that exact moment, the lead ranger's radio crackled with static and then went dead. The cabin above them groaned, a loud, heavy sound as if something massive had just shifted on the roof. And then, every light went out at once, plunged into pitch-black underground silence, and in that darkness everyone heard it. 3. Slow. Knocks. Not from the cabin door. From the dirt wall right next to them they scrambled out, sealing the hatch. But the secret was already out. Erasing the evidence. The Rangers burst out of that cellar, hearts pounding, and got on their satellite phone. They didn't call the sheriff. They called the only number their superiors had given them for a level 5 anomaly. And all hell broke loose. Within 12 hours, the Yak Valley was flooded, but not with police. With black SUVs, unmarked vans, and military-style trucks with antennas spinning on their roofs. Men in dark, sterile uniforms set up a perimeter blocking the only road in or out. Locals were told there was a chemical spill and to stay in their homes. It was a lie, and everyone knew it. Witnesses, the few who dared to peek through their curtains, described seeing teams in full hazmat suits entering Tom's cabin. They weren't bagging evidence. They were sanitizing. They set up radio towers and monitoring equipment deep in the forest, and the air buzzed with a new kind of static drones, silent and black, circled overhead, scanning every single inch of the land, day and night. The local sheriff, furious, drove up to the new checkpoint and was met by a man in a black suit who didn't even give his name. The sheriff was handed an official sealed letter from a 3-letter agency. The message was simple: halt your investigation. Surrender all documents, photos, and evidence. This is now a matter of national concern. And the hatch, the one Tom had hidden for so long, the feds didn't just lock it. They brought in a concrete truck. A concrete truck all the way up that mountain. And they filled that entire underground room, journals and all, with reinforced concrete. They didn't just seal the secret, they buried it permanently. But here's the catch: you can't bury a secret that's already breathing. The local reports started flooding in, and they were terrifying. An old trapper named Bill, who lived about 5 miles down the valley, claimed he started hearing a new sound at night: a low, mechanical howling. He said it wasn't a wolf and it wasn't the wind. It was, in his words, like metal scraping against bone, and it always came from the direction of Tom's cabin. A hunter venturing near the new restricted zone said his GPS and phone died instantly. His compass just spun wildly in circles. He swore as he was backing away that he saw faint pale blue lights flickering between the trees, floating just above the snow. The wildlife. It just vanished. Overnight. Deer stopped coming to the salt licks. The wolves went silent. The woods, once alive, were now dead. The land itself felt wrong, cursed. It was like Tom had been some kind of guardian, keeping something ancient and hungry at bay, and now that he was gone, the thing he'd kept buried was finally free. Even the park rangers, tough as they come, started getting spooked. They'd receive calls from hikers on the other side of the valley, reporting guttural screams echoing across the ridges. Search drones sent to map the forest around the cabin would suddenly lose signal and crash one after another, all near the same coordinates, the coordinates of Tom Oar's property. The feds left as quickly as they came. They posted new heavy-duty no trespassing signs citing environmental instability, and the trail to Tom's cabin was quietly erased from all public maps. But the silence they left behind wasn't peaceful. It was the sound of something waiting. Even Tom's closest friends knew this was far from over. News of the federal lockdown in the concrete-filled cabin spread like wildfire, and it finally reached the ears of the only other men on Earth who truly understood Tom Oar. His fellow mountain man Eustace Conway from his refuge in North Carolina gave a rare, grim interview. Tom wasn't just some character, he said, his voice heavy. He was the sharpest blade in the drawer. He understood the land, the spirits, the things that move in the shadows. If something scared Tom Oar enough to make him write it down, then it was real. And it was dangerous. Marty Maiorato, the trapper from the Alaskan wilderness, echoed the same chilling sentiment. He revealed that toward the end of their last filming session together, Tom had grown quiet, withdrawn. He'd find Tom just staring off at the tree line for hours, as if listening to something no one else could hear. "He told me the forest had changed," Marty said. "He told me it isn't quiet anymore, Marty, it's waiting." What do you think Tom Oar really found in that cellar? Was it an ancient relic or something not of this world? Let us know your theory in the comments. And make sure to like and subscribe because the truth is still out there.